Coming up in today's program, monks behaving badly.
It's very unusual for people to criticize Buddhism.
Portugal's missing treasures. And the Filipino comeback kids.
I wanted them to make a difference.
But first, Arts World visits Lebanon to get an insider's perspective on the country's art scene.
Hi, welcome to Arts World and to Lebanon. My name is Yamin Sukkari and I'm a filmmaker here in Beirut. What I love about my city are the different communities and contrasts. In our first story, let's go see how Beirut is also inspiring artist Zeina Al-Khalil.
My name is Zeina Al-Khalil. I'm an artist. I was 18 years old when I moved here. Beirut at the time, we had just come out of years of civil war. Somehow, within the chaos, there was a lot of freedom and space for expression and creativity. Beirut is central to all of my works. I think as I was coming of age, Beirut was being reborn. So in a way, we kind of grew up together. Beirut became a person somehow, and we started having this relationship, which I describe as very love-hate.
Images of pop stars, politicians, saints and resistance fighters are found in Zeina Al-Khalil's work. This playful juxtaposition is her way of reflecting the uniqueness and complexity of Lebanese society.
I'm just reacting to my environment, and these symbols are very prominent in my environment. And the political images, I use a lot of illustrations of guns, I use a lot of references to religion, I work on portraits of political leaders. It's my lens and my view on my city. A lot of images I use repetitively. And I think of them as, for example, an artist will set out his colors before he starts painting. You fill out your palette, and in a way, these icons or images have become my palette. So, like, what could translate to the color, let's say, green, for me is maybe a Kalashnikov. What translates to purple might be the Virgin Mary. So I use a lot of these icons in the work repetitively because they've become a sort of vocabulary. All my work has been about war. In a way, it's just because it's all around me. 2005, there was the assassination of Hariri, and then the car bombs that followed after that. 2006, the Israeli invasion of Lebanon. I'm working on a series of paintings now, specifically about that time period. One of the events that happened was the Israelis were practicing psychological warfare, if you want to call it, by dropping leaflets from airplanes. There was one particular flyer that I found. I picked up the flyer and I realized it was a cartoon. The Syrian president, the leader of Hamas, and the Iranian president, and there they were sitting all together playing their magical flutes around what appears to be Hassan Nasrallah, the leader, the Hezbollah leader, coming out as a cobra. And I guess it was some kind of psychological message to get people to think that Nasrallah is not acting on behalf of Lebanon. And I thought it was really funny because first of all, I don't think it would take a very badly drawn flyer to get people to change their opinions on Hezbollah, and it's quite comical. Anyway, I collected as many as I could, and because a lot of my work involves kind of taking things from around my city, around my environment. I wouldn't say that my artwork is political. I think that my work is reactionary, and where I live, is very politically charged. I wouldn't say anyone has been offended by my artwork. I think it provokes people, gets people to think, engage in dialogue.
Having exhibited her visual art successfully in the West, Zeina has recently taken her fascination with Beirut from the canvas to the page, authoring a personal account of her relationship with her city.
The book is called Beirut, I Love You, and it's a memoir about my life in Beirut. The good times, the bad times, the extremes, the joy, the depression, the chaos, the madness, the war. The problems with trying to live in a post-war city are many. Nothing works the way it should, not even the people. We live under the threat that at any time things could flare up again. We live under the constant humiliation of the horrible things we did to each other only a few years earlier. I remember the stories of the Holiday Inn. It's one of the highest buildings in Beirut. During the war, it was taken over by a militia who found it entertaining to throw people off the rooftop and try and shoot them in midair. Today, we stand side by side as we wait in lines to get into nightclubs. Despite the difficulties of living in Beirut, I feel that as long as I can love it or keep love, everything's gonna be okay.
This is Martyrs Square in the center of Beirut. When Lebanese people want to protest, this is where they come. In our next story, we go to Thailand, where protest is being expressed through art.
Thai people have a very, very high standard or idealistic of how monks should behave.
It's very unusual for people to criticize Buddhism.
They stay away from taboo issues such as religion.
Any critique of anything that is a symbol of Buddhism, such as monks or temples, is going to harm their karma.
6 monks were arrested for distributing methamphetamines, trafficking drugs, and it's like, ooh.
It's just the media, they love it when there's this kind of story because they know that it sells well. So when there's something that comes out and you know, say all monks are portrayed in this such a way, it becomes an uproar.
Artist Anupong Janton's depictions of monks behaving badly has polarized opinion in Thai society. Janton won a prestigious art award for these paintings. This award then sparked an open national debate on how much monks can and should be criticized in a country where they are traditionally respected.
Someone can say that he's very brave, you know, he's a very strong, brave artist, and some can say that, you know, he's very, very foolish.
A robe does not make just anybody a monk. Sometimes it's only a person wearing a yellow robe who has exploited the sacred uniform. Newspaper stories about monks involved in drugs and sex scandals are very disturbing for us Buddhists, but also very true. We might not want to speak about it, but we must accept that it is happening.
People regard monks very highly, you know, especially the robes, the color of the robes that represent, you know, the Buddha's religion, you know, to use it as canvas. You know, a lot of Thai people will find it offensive.
It is because I'm concerned about Buddhism in my own community. I don't mean to focus on the problems in our religion. I just want to nudge people to pay attention to the problems. It is impossible that my paintings can change the face of society overnight, but at least I hope that it encourages us to improve and move in the right direction.
I'm not surprised, you know, because I think that sooner or later young artists or, you know, Thai society are moving towards sort of breaking these barriers.
And breaking barriers is what well-known theatre director Thirawatmoon Vilai wanted to do when he decided to take Anupong's paintings to the stage. His performance is a critique that uses a Japanese style of dance called Buto.
I don't consider these monks as monks. They are sinful people who take advantage of Buddhism and become monks. I'm trying to increase the public's awareness of our current problem.
The way that most of the members of B-Floor work when they are doing a production is that you begin with a question, or you begin with something that you want to explore without having a real goal in mind of what the production will turn out to be. A lot of it depends on what is found during explorations and rehearsal.
With Buto, we shave our heads and paint our bodies white to erase our identity, our human quality, so that we can be a blank canvas and be anything we choose to be.
There's very little spoken word. And so in that sense, it poses a challenge because there's no way to predict exactly what the final production will be.
And the response has been favorable.
Most people seem to really appreciate being able to see a public criticism, in fact, of Thai culture or things that they themselves might have questioned. It's also using humor to critique things and not just showing the darkest side of behavior for people to look at and feel horrified, but that they can also laugh at themselves.
Don't go away, because after the break, we're going to Portugal, where works of art are disappearing literally off the walls.